Hello. So we're out here, we're gonna make a shelter. And we're gonna use that tarp to make the shelter. I picked a cool spot. It's right in this little valley, so it's sheltered from the wind a bit. It's kind of flat here. The wind's coming from like this general vicinity, and the sun's over here. So if I pitch the tarp with the opening over here, it'll be open to the sun for the warmth and relatively safe from the wind. So I'm gonna start at this tree right here and pitch it this way.
Go ahead.
So I've got my paracord. I'm gonna make my ridge line starting around this nice solid birch tree. I'm gonna throw that on the ground. I am gonna wrap this around the tree. And so I've got this end and this end. I am going to, actually I'm gonna pass that around this end. And I am going to tie a bowline right here. Doop, doop, doop. Tying a bowline. And it's a bowline loop, which means that if I pull this end, it tightens around the tree, right? So as long as there's tension here, that's not moving. But it lets me move this up and down, like if I need it higher or lower. I'm pretty sure I need to start somewhere around here. So we'll try that. I'm gonna stretch out the paracord. I'm gonna grab my tarp. All right, so we're gonna use one of our Tyler knots. Let's see, I'm just gonna use a stick. That stick is a little rotten. How about this stick? This stick will work. Okay, so I got a stick chunk. And we're gonna use one of our Tyler knots. We're gonna use the lark's head. I've got my rope, right? My paracord. I'm gonna make a little loop in it like this. I'm gonna go like this with my fingers, and I'm gonna twist them. And I get these two little loops. I'm gonna put the stick through the loops, and bam! It's a lark's head knot, and that stick's not gonna move. Okay, so we've got our stick and our little lark's head on the ridge line. And I'm gonna take the loop of my tarp on one corner, pass it over this stick, and I'm going to pass it over the other end of the stick. And what that gives me, once I untwist it, is a tarp attached to a toggle on my ridge line. Now the tarp's not going to move from there, so it's anchored. I'm going to take my ridge line, the tarp has wrapped itself around my foot in the wind. Take my ridge line, I'm going to go down here until I find the opposite corner of the tarp. Not that one.
Go.
I've got the corner of my tarp. I've got the end of my ridge line. They're all stretched out now. My tarp is kind of in a diamond shape. You can see it kind of makes a big triangle right now because the corners are hanging together. And I'm going to anchor it over here. I always have a few of these aluminum tent stakes in my backpack because they're light and I use them a lot. You can use sticks if you don't have them. But I'm going to tie another bowline on this side. It's not going to be on a loop this time. It's just going to make it's not going to be sliding this time. It's just going to make a loop that's going to stay where I put it. Bowline, right? I'm going to stretch that out. I'm going to put my tent stake through it. And I'm going to anchor the tent stake in the ground. At just a tad of an angle. All right, now we've got a tarp, and you will notice that it's not attached here, so it's still flapping. We're gonna fix that with this thing that I also have in my pocket. So this is not a knot you have learned yet, but you're gonna at some point, and it's gonna be awesome. So it's kind of a taste of the power of knots. So I've got this loop, right? And I'm going to tie this loop around here. It's almost like a lark's head, but instead of just, that would be that is a lark's head, right? But instead of just going around once, I am going to pass this rope around my line again and a third time. It's all getting caught together. Doo-doo-doo. And so what I have now is, if you were just looking at it, you might call it a triple lark's head maybe, but this type of knot is called a prusik. And it is used for climbing, it's used for all sorts of stuff. I used it when I worked in the tree service. And the cool thing about this knot is that it doesn't want to move if I pull on this end, right? But I can slide it up and down the rope really easily by pushing the knot itself. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it through the loop on my tarp. And if your tarp has those little grommets, you can do the same thing. You can put this through a grommet. And then I am going to tie a little chunk of stick in with another lark's head. Ba-doop doop. One of the handiest knots in existence. I'm gonna put my stick in there. Now I have another toggle, just like on the other end, but this one, I can slide it down this way, make my tarp nice and tight, and it stays, because knots are cool. I am also, because I am a perfectionist, I am going to put a tent stake in this loop, but see how it's a little off the ground? I'm just gonna peg it down. Bam.
Oh.
Okay, so I'm back up at the high end of my tarp shelter, and I'm gonna take one edge of my tarp, I'm gonna take a grommet that looks like it's gonna get to the ground, and I'm gonna pitch it out at an angle, like this. I'm gonna put a stake through it. Again, if you didn't have stakes, because you're not me and you don't carry them around in your backpack all the time, you can just use sticks or whatever you can find, rocks even. And I'm gonna get this in the ground. Got a nice soft spot over here. And I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. Yep. Okay, again, I'm doing the same thing as I did on the other side. Stake goes through the grommet or the loop or whatever you've got on your tarp. You stretch it out and you put it into the ground. Now we've got our basic thing done. Okay, so this is the entrance to our tarp shelter, and you can see the inside now. And we've got these flaps, because we didn't use our whole tarp to the top. And so I'm gonna pull this flap in, I'm gonna pull the other flap in, because it was stuck outside. I'm gonna make them nice and flat. So you see my tarp shelter has a floor, keep me nice and dry. I'm gonna get these two little loopies here. Usually your tarp will line up in such a way that this will work because geometry is cool. And I'm gonna put a tent peg there, put it nice and in the ground, and now my tarp's done. And I can put my feet way in here. Wow, it's warm in here. And I'm weighing my tarp, and I'm sheltered from the wind. I'm sheltered from the weather. It's nice and warm because the sun is hitting all of this. And yeah, it's cozy in here. Now you know how to make a very quick, very easy bivouac-style tarp shelter.